So, hello everyone, welcome to Nerds Bay. And today, my name is Julia, and today with me, Ludmila Tomperi, which is, I believe, that the gentlest recruiter in Finland. Yes. And Ludmila also is leading amazing talent acquisition community here, which is called TA Cafe. So, she received a lot of pain and discussions from recruiters, and she ready to share their thoughts with us, and we will be like more you know um, understand them, and then they will understand more us, and this is super that we can do that today. So Ludmila, now I'm getting the mic to you.
Thank you. Really happy to be here and happy to support. I love your fairs and I have to say I'm not that active on the fairs, but maybe I should try as well to participate one day so that I can also experience like the full experience. And today we will touch a bit about the networking and follow-ups. And the presentation is just something very small, so that's like don't mind most of it. What I wanted actually to do today to spend more time with you. I did wrote a small intro about myself and why and how I can help you today. That yes, like Julia mentioned, I have been on talent acquisition for a while now, and I do support and things that more informed candidates, easier job for me. So I stand by with my thesis that I'm a lazy recruiter. I would rather have the people who know how to network, who reach out with me with information that will benefit both of us, rather just random and then you're getting lost and I'm getting lost and so on. I also added then that I'm real, even though I use AI pictures. And I will explain why, because I believe that in the networking, even though it is networking in the conferences, after conferences, being real, that's what nowadays the most important in our virtual world when we have these masks, when we have the connections, when there is an information coming with a speed like the what is it, McQueen, the Speedlight McQueen car. Sorry, I have two kids. I have a lot of cartoon references. Uh, but building this connection, being real, being there, actually, that's what make you standing out, and that's what makes people want to connect with you and even remember you. And that's probably what is the most important. And we will maybe just have more as an open discussion. So I will invite everyone. If you are feel too shy, you don't have to turn on the camera, I guess. But please do send the messages, ask questions. So let's engage into the discussion. So you were at the conference yesterday. How is the feeling? Show me some emojis. Got drained?
May
Julia,
I
how are you?
start? Yes. We've been working so hard and preparing everything, but when the conference started, from the very beginning, that was issues with connection, and then the whole schedule start, like you know how it's going when in the very beginning you have these troubles. So yeah, and I felt quite nervous about that. So I haven't been like to enjoy the conference, but I've been trying to, manage the situation, and I've been on an adrenaline, so I still been excited but nervous. Yeah, and but after my sharing with the community that hey guys, sorry that we cannot manage it how we been expecting, everyone starts supporting me and my team and saying that the conference went well for them. But if guys you are ready to share your thoughts, this is really your thoughts about one-on-one. Let's don't touch this company's presentation blog, because I get my uh, understanding on that. But about one-on-one, how do you feel after talking to companies? What is your thoughts?
Are we going to dominate and pick up people to reply?
Yeah, I think that Mark may say something.
Yes. Uh, I now just on the street, so in the street, so there can be some noise. But yeah, I had conversations. Um, I can say that it was rather easier than I expected, and the main thing was just to familiarize myself with the job posting and ask the questions which the presenters wanted to hear from us, like which business problems you would like to solve for what you opened the position and so on. So it was interesting, but let's see. Today I plan to write them further. I have like maybe three companies where I would like to continue.
That's great to know. Thank you, Mark. And that's why it's great to have this webinar, let's call it like that, or just discussion about follow-ups. Ludmila, could you tell us when it's the best time to send like invitation? Let's imagine that it might be not only online event but also offline. You met somebody. So when it's better to send him invitation in LinkedIn or in email? What is the correct?
Amazing, amazing. That's like the question that I was expecting, and that's why I have my next slide. And the best answer to it, which is not there, to do it before. So how, for example, I usually do when I go to the conferences or I go to the places or visit the sites and meetups, if I want to build a network, I'm looking forward who will be there. And beforehand, I connect to the people. But now, as we're talking, it's already past. It's in the past. You can use that for the next time. The best one is right now you're feeling overwhelmed. And the best thing is, of course, to get connected with the people as soon as possible within the first couple of days, so it doesn't get too old. People still on the emotions, they still remember your face if you have met and you talked about something, whether it's offline or online. They're also under the adrenaline if they have been speaking, so that they also have these positive emotions, how it went, the energy from the event. But do not stress about it. First of all, like breathe in, breathe out. And for example, if it's a traditional old school conference and you have cards, sort them and see which ones are more important. And Mark wants to say something.
Yeah, I was going to ask one thing. Some talent acquisition managers, for example, they recommended to apply to position. It wasn't like rejecting answers, so just apply and let's see. They said like, hey, it's good matching, so please feel free to apply. Does this instruction work well there, or if it was recommended to apply, so just to apply and don't disturb those persons, or you think need anyways to say some hi, like hi, I applied and here is me.
I would recommend that exactly to do the follow-ups, apply, and then send a follow-up message, whether you're connecting on the LinkedIn or email that per our discussion, your recommendation, you asked me to apply, I applied. So I'm just letting you know that I actually followed your recommendation. So it's never hurts. Why the recruiters do it, why the recruiters actually a talent acquisition asks you to apply, there can be several reasons. It can be the reasons that they just simply don't want to speak right now, right there, because it's not a good place to discuss this position. It can be that they want to build a pipeline and see all the candidates. It can be that simply, if we're talking about the offline or like even online, most of the companies, especially in Finland, were follow the GDPR compliancy, meaning that technically, if I have your CV, I have to store it into the ATS system. I cannot keep it on my table, on my desktop, on my computer. I have to destroy it. I cannot keep your personal information and especially share it with anyone else. So for me, it's much easier if you apply through the link or when you apply directly, because then your CV goes to the ATS system directly and I don't have to do anything. And as I said, like, I'm lazy, or maybe not lazy, but when you have many incoming applications, it's much easier when they're automatically there. What usually also happens, if the company is advanced and they have the ATS system in place, most likely they do have the referral link, so they will see, because for recruiters, it's also metrics. Why do they go to the conferences? Why do they sponsor them? Then they need to measure the KPIs. They need to measure how many people came through the process and the quality of the candidates through the process. So most likely they want to have this information there. They want you to apply through the special link. Then they can track how many candidates came through that particular conference, how many of them made up to the final rounds, and how many got hired. So that's a win-win from the both sides in that sense.
May I ask more questions regarding that? So, for example, Mark been talking to some recruiter, then send him or her his CV, and then when it's better to send this follow-up. For example, today is Friday, and maybe recruiters is not like going to be very active at work. Maybe it's better to do it Monday, for example. What do you think? What are the weekdays differences?
Well, I would say it depends on the person to person, and it really depends on what you are looking for from your message. If it's just the message that, hey, I applied, it's great. Like if I receive such a message and I see it, like, oh, good for you, I will check when I check. If the person is reaching out with some question, then it's coming to my mailbox, and then I reply whenever I have time. I typically screen the candidates Mondays and Fridays just to search through the capacity, but it's very rough estimations. All the talent acquisitions do it on their pace and in their preferences. So in that sense, that's why I also made this slide. It's more about the strategy and what do you want to get from your connection. Are you building the network? Are you applying for that particular position and you just need that particular person know that you applied, or do you want to build a long relationship that they remember about you later?
I think that after the job fair event, basically people are interested in applying, but no, probably some of them are, would like to be in this waiting list and just be connected to the network. Yeah.
I would probably advise to choose a long-term strategy, in the sense, if there is an application, apply, but connect then with a recruiter, exactly, not in the terms, hey, I just applied, but more in a way that, like, hey, we met at the conference, I applied as you suggested, but keep in touch in the future. So not like constantly every day send a message to recruiter how I'm doing or anything like that, but along the process. So for example, there is 1 or 2 weeks past, you didn't receive any reply, send a follow-up. I would say 1 week might be a little bit too short. It depends how busy people. 2 weeks, I would say it's quite reasonable to get at least something, whether it was a rejection, whether it was continue the process. So let's say the conference, in next 2-3 days, you apply for the job and you said that, like, I applied for it. In 2 weeks, a follow-up that, hey, we have met at the conference, you recommended me to apply, I applied, I haven't heard anything. When can I expect anything? So, like, in a way, that's why building a little bit longer term strategy and follow up your processes, because then you can also get back. You might get ghosted, but I hope you don't. Or it might be that if you didn't apply through the proper ATS system, but through the email, it went to the spam. So it's always good to have the follow-ups.
And what about the channel of follow-up? Should it be LinkedIn or email? How it's better to reach you out, for example, or maybe from the colleagues?
I would say if it's a connection, just a connection request, in the sense that, hey, let's stay connected in the area. If there is something comes up, I'm really more than happy to stay connected in LinkedIn if it doesn't require brain activity to come back to reply on something or a follow-up. If it's more down to the business that we discuss that situation, you promised me the answer, or like, could you email is better, because when it comes to the LinkedIn email, they suck big time. And once you read it, of course, you can make it or mark unread or star. They improved in that area, but messages there just they're massive. I can have in 1 week 100 messages, and they will get lost. So email in that sense is much better. I can say what not to do, and do not send it to the personal phone number, or like, in general, I guess I'm more Finnish in that when someone is suspicious, call me. I do not reply. If someone sends me the WhatsApp message, I do not appreciate it. There are sometimes, I'm big user of Telegram. There are sometimes messages in Telegram. I'm also would be very suspicious if someone sends me some file. I will not download it on my phone, and I will hardly download it on my computer. I probably will not open any of those files or any of the links that I receive in the Telegram and WhatsApp. And that was a recent example that I published the job, and then the person decided to send me a personal message in the WhatsApp. First of all, outside of working hours, so in the evening when I'm trying to disconnect from the work and be with my family, and with a message that I know that if I apply through the link, automated bot will reject me, but this way you will read it. There is lower chance that I will read the CV that's coming through the WhatsApp than through the ATS system. So if you have an official career website, most of the companies do not have enough money to have the AI system there to reject you automatically. It's still human being who are reading through the CVs, and human being who are reading through the bullet points and rejecting or not rejecting people.
But if there is any ATS with the IU right now already, which is making this automation rejection for like highly competent specialists?
Of course, I cannot say for all the companies, and all the ATS systems are applying AI in their systems. How they're used. They can be used in writing emails. They can be used in scheduling. They can be used in writing rejection letters. So they're more as a co-pilot. Where they can be used into the screening, if the recruiter inputs the words or like the filters, it might by the filters give the rating for the candidate and bring the candidates on more visible. Again, I think the Workday actually brings like by the rating the candidates on top. Smart Recruiter, the one that I'm using currently, might give the stars if it's properly reads, but it doesn't reject automatically. I'm still the one who sees the stars, and I'm the one who's choosing whether follow up the recommendations of AI, let's say, or not follow up. And I have to say that I personally like it's off the target, I would say, as a Smart Recruiter. At least I'm not following the recommendations there at all. Mark.
Yeah, I have a question. It's maybe side, not so related to yesterday fair and follow-up things, but related to recruitment, maybe to discuss in the end of meeting, if we will have time. I see sometimes plenty of open positions in companies, and even hear from, for example, employers from these companies that we have open positions and we are permanently hiring, but sometimes I got the cases when I wrote and got her answer like, now our recruitment situation is well, so we don't need, but we will stay in touch with you and solve this template answer. The question is, have you seen the cases when the persons were hired from open position application? Maybe it's side, but very relevant because many companies have this position there. I wanted to ask it to some recruiter, so that
yeah, absolutely.
that's why.
I think it really depends on the company and side. I have been working mostly with a bit bigger size company. I haven't had like it wasn't in my responsibility to check what is falling into the open position applications. I would say when I was working at Ivan, I think once we had a person who was responsible for the TA, like general TA email. and she would receive, and then she would sort those emails, and then she would pass to me those candidates, and I would screen them and let them know whether I take them to the process or not. But I would prefer candidates applying to a specific position. And of course, like applying for open position, there need to be a good statement. What value do you bring to the company? If there is no open position, why does it need to have a budget to hire you in that sense? I hope that I replied to some extent to your question there, but I would say answer on those ever open roles, they call the evergreen roles, for example. If we are hiring a lot of people, or we're technically we know that retention is high, that people are coming, so it's in a way that you need to have the pipeline all the time. Those positions are also exist. Or sometimes you have the situation that you open the position, you have a candidates already at the end of the process, so the position have been open for a while, but you don't want to close the position because unless the candidate signed and came on the first day to the job, the role is not filled yet. So you don't want to close the role because you have to open it again then.
And may I then follow up on this question regarding the open position? So companies basically doesn't check the pool of open position candidates in case they are opening some new roles.
It depends as well on the pool. Again, it's becoming a little bit more complicated with the GDPR. There are some companies that are using the pool software programs where the candidates are there, and then you can search within the pool, or you can search previous candidates pipelines, or you can search the silver medalists. In Europe, it's becoming a bit limited in the sense that you have to have like smartly. I do know that they have the talent pool. Zalando do have the talent pool, but you have to give your consent that it keeps your information. And then again, some companies are searching that they know, okay, we have this role, we just closed it 2 months ago, then we go first there and we see who we have and then reconnect. Some companies do not bother, they just open again the position. And it's really depends on the company, it really depends on the talent acquisition there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I think that that was a really good question, Mark. Thank you. And thank you, Ludmila, for the answer. Anya?
Hello, everyone. Hi, Lumi. I have
Hey.
also a side question. You've mentioned that it's better to set connection in LinkedIn before the meeting. Is it the same with applying for an open position? Is it polite to connect a recruiter when you apply for a position from LinkedIn, or is it too much?
I personally don't find any troubles in connecting. LinkedIn is just a social service where you're connecting to people. What I have seen more in common that people connect after the process. So in a way, do not influence and do not cross if you're worried about the crossing the line and not getting too close. But that's really good follow-up connection that, hey, I have been in the process, I got rejected, but I would love to stay in touch for the future, or just expanding the networks.
Yeah, thank you.
So if we're talking about next follow-up, so we have a first message that we are sending, for example, in LinkedIn in one or 2 days. Then if we not applying for the specific position, but would like to stay like in a network, what is the process?
Well, my suggestion is still apply or like send it close enough to the event that people still remember what we're talking about, what was the event about, follow up. But then if you want to stay connected with them, again, the strategy is set yourself a reminder, let's say in 1 month, to follow up that, well, we have met at this conference, or whatever the most suitable timeline. So what do you want from that, in a sense that, do you want to invite for the virtual coffee? Do you want to continue the conversation? Do you want to find out whether the company is participating in any upcoming meetups? So then just
I would
setting up
say
some
that,
timeline.
Yeah, for example, if I were like a specialist who is applying, I would like to, to stay in some connection with this recruiter. And when the situation changes and they have this open role, so they will remember me. So how to be like in contact, but not crossing the lines, like not to be too noisy.
I would say again between 24 hours up to 1 month, so it's still fresh in mind. Just to connect, introduce yourself, get connected. How not to be noisy. Do not try to sell something right away there. Do not try to send the CV attached that, hey, you have so many open positions, or like, for example, hey, I see that you are a recruiter. What is there in your network? You find me a job. So it's kind of like, it depends. If I'm working in consultancy, then I have you in the pool, and then maybe I have more chances. If I'm working in the company, there are career site, or there are links, go ahead and apply. So I don't find it annoying if someone sends me a message that, hey, I've seen these open positions. Would you mind like to tell me something? But then, of course, if it's not something obvious that already written in the job description, or if it would be like if it's something outside of my scope, because it's also when the companies are bigger, you start to focus on the different business units and different areas. And then I receive the message, for example, okay, I want to apply for data engineers. Well, I'm hiring right now for the payroll. So like I don't have the visibility. So most likely I will mention that, unfortunately, I don't have the visibility. Please apply for the role or connect with one of the team members. I probably most likely will not give you the name of the team member. So like when you are sending a connection, do not ask information about other people. That would be my advice. Like do not ask, okay, tell me who's responsible for this role. I need to connect with them. It's more in a sense that, hey, I have seen this role. Would it be right to ask you a questions, or maybe you can recommend me or connect me with someone else who can write? So always address it polite in the way that be mindful that the person who's reading your message will be spending their time on that, and it's their choice whether ignore or whether to reply, whether to spend time to giving information to you. That's always as well that keeping in mind when you're asking something from someone, what are you giving back in the sense? So if you're just coming to the random person and telling, okay, I want to apply, tell me how to pass, that will be quite impolite. But if you say that, oh, I actually have seen that you joined the company 5 months ago, how it has been for you, tell me your story. And then after that, like I actually noticed that there are a few positions open. What do you think? Would it be okay if I apply? So like open the conversation. It's the same that imagine that networking is the same as you're talking in the bar with someone. It will be quite awkward if you just sit next to someone, puts a glass and or like take a glass from their hands and start drinking. Build a connection, build this trust, get personal, get real to them that the person actually does want to give you the information.
Thank you, Ludmila. I think this is super clear now. And you mentioned that that's one of the options to have a virtual coffee. Can you share a little bit more about that?
I'm like following always why not thing, meaning that you don't have to pay to ask a question. Nothing will happen to you if someone tells no. So if you can accept that someone might ignore your message or someone might say no, like mentally, and like if you can take that answers and go ahead and ask person like, do you want to meet for lunch? Would you be up for a coffee? One recommendation there is that I love meeting people, so I would love to meet for coffee. But then if I meet for coffee and people keep asking me about the company and the positions, then I get annoyed because I want to meet for me. I want to build connections. So in a way, I do understand that when you're for a job, when you're coming from the job fair, you want to ask about the company and the position. But when you connect into person, you connect into person. You want to build a connection with person and then ask more questions. And Omid has a question.
Omid, please.
Or was it an accident?
Yeah, Alexandra. Then, yeah. Yeah, Omid and Alexandra. But Omid is not asking, so Alexandra, maybe you can ask your question. Alexandra.
It's the technical side that you were mentioning.
I think that, sometimes people try to send the reaction, but instead of that, or just raising their hands.
Mm.
Yeah, probably that was just trying to send the reaction. Okay, thank you. This is super important to share personal meetings for a coffee or lunch and working meeting and talk about positions and so on. So this is two absolutely different things that which is difficult to separate when you're looking for a job, but you need to do so. Yeah.
I would say it's actually this being honest and open in the sense that, like, hey, I am looking for a job. Would you mind to have a coffee chat or something? That's also quite open. So if someone tells you like, hey, I want to meet with you, it's one thing, and then they talk about the job, it's different. So be a little bit more open into what you want from the meeting as well. When the person, virtual coffee, real coffee, they are still spending time. That's the most precious. That's the highest highest pay that people can give you. And like in that sense, just take it as it's a value, that if someone giving this time, just pay back in the respect, in the sense that like, hey, we're meeting, would you mind if I ask more questions about the role? Just kind of like giving the space for them as well to say no.
Thank you. And Alexandra, would you like to try again?
Yeah, I definitely would like to try again. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
We do.
Very well, thank you. So my question about connection between HR and team lead. Let's say you're hiring for DevOps department or sales department or marketing department, whatever. What is your communication with team lead? Do you discuss potential candidates or do you discuss potential roles? So my question more general is how to influence each other's decision in this process.
Absolutely. I'm more follower of, like, you can notice that I'm sometimes saying recruiter, sometimes talent acquisition partner. For me, it's a little bit two different roles. One is more giving a task and doing the task. Another is more partnering. And that's what I have been lucky to work, well, the whole 10 years on, both Zalando, Ivan, now involved. We are highly involved into discussions with the hiring managers. We are not just receiving on our table the role and we're opening. We have the kickoff meeting where we go into the deep details, why the role is open, how does the team looks like, how the day-to-day looks like for the candidate. For me, for example, when I go to the metrics, if I have the metric from my screening and the hiring manager screening, if the drop rate there is too high, let's say I have to screen 10 candidates and only 2 pass the hiring manager, that's a big, big red flag for me. It meaning that I don't understand what they're looking for. It means that we need to sit down and we need to have a discussion. So by the time that I have a discussion, I need to understand at least like 80% of what the hiring manager are looking for. Of course, I cannot go to the details like DevOps. I cannot really say how well they know what they know, the technical part, but I can tick the boxes and go through the general requirements and then bring it to the hiring managers, the general requirements, and discuss it like, okay, they're really good at this, but this is what they're missing. How influential I am. Sometimes I'm able to give a chance to the candidate. I would say that talent acquisition are always your advocate. Like, more we know about you, more we know about your passion, better, like more information you give us, better we can give that information to the hiring managers. I'm meeting my hiring managers on the weekly base, depends on the role, sometimes bi-weekly base. but I pretty much have shortlisted candidates, and I'm summarizing each candidate I'm discussing, and I'm leaving my recommendations to the hiring manager, whether I have some doubts, whether I believe that we should proceed or not. And then the hiring manager also might follow my recommendation or might say like, okay, I hear you, but I actually don't want to follow that.
Mm-hmm. Amit has reconnected. Probably he can ask now.
Oh, hi. Can you hear me? I hope now.
Yes, we can
Oh,
hear you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks. Sorry about the previous disconnection. Just I had a question with regards to talent acquisition team, for example, that they put together. I have seen more and more companies are outsourcing this responsibility, which in my opinion, it's a gatekeeper. Maybe you have different opinion over that. They are outsourcing it somewhere else, for example, not within the country or even the continent. It goes beyond that. So my question was, for example, apart from financial reason, what it might be the main reason or the probable reason behind that companies are doing it? And should we be worried about the impact that might have over, for example, the application that we might provide? Because it's absolutely, it makes lots of difference if the person who's the gatekeeper for sending your application forward living within the society than somewhere completely outsider and they don't know much about what's happening.
I wouldn't take it as a gatekeeper for sure. There are different situations in different companies. Some companies exactly they don't have money or they don't have a capacity to have the full HR person, or they do have HR person, but a person doesn't have enough time to do screening of the interviews because you still have to find time. You speak 30 to 45 minutes to the person. It's a lot of work. There are different models of how to work with outsourced recruiters. There are fully outsourced when you just give the assignment to the company, company giving you, let's say they pre-screen the candidates and they give you like, okay, this is 10, they're by your requirements, take them. And then you're taking them in the process. There are other, like for example, in Volt, we do have embedded recruiters. So we have the few companies that are working with us, and we have the recruiters are part of our team. They have exactly the same access, they have exactly the same information, even though they're outsourced, they're still part of the internal team. How to look at it from the perspective of candidate. If you have agencies and if you have recruiters, be friends with them because then they have the landscape and they can sell you to the different companies. Don't think about them as about gatekeepers. You can always apply directly to the company if you know that the company is looking for, or they might have the assignment on the table that you haven't seen. The role is not open, but the agency know that they are hiring for it. So in that sense, from the perspective of the applicant, if you're in many agencies who are selling for you, who are actually doing this job of selling your profile to the recruiter in another company, be happy that someone is selling you there.
Mm-hmm. We have quite many raised hands, but we have 20 minutes and we will be very strict on time today. And I think that probably, guys, you can put your questions to the chat and then we can go through them more easily. And I would like to give some time to Lumi that she can finish her presentation and give us advice on a style and tone, which I briefly watched, but I think that you can tell us more about that.
Okay, yeah, I just like put together a small style and tone, but I would, for example, appreciate to have an email that exactly one email coming, something down to the point, the same as treating a CV that why, what, who, why you're writing to me. Again, do not take it personally, but more the professionally, if you're writing email, what do you want to get as a result from this email? What feelings another person should get. And actually, I think it's one of the last slides. Yeah, what to write. I gave you a few examples here. I think Yulia will be sharing then the presentation as well. I think it's just a couple of common scripts on which you can use. That was nice to meet you, how to open it, how to say why you need, what the key points, and always, like, again, what do you want to get from this email? Always best to finish with some action points, in the sense, what do you want? Like, stay connected. I also send you a connection in LinkedIn, which you didn't accept. Would be great to get connected. Would you be mind if I send you invitation for the coffee? Would be great to see you on the next conference. So like this final line, in the sense that what's next? Staying in touch, applying for the position, having a call, something that actionable, and connecting you to the person for the next steps. And here I also just created few more smaller follow-ups examples, or just like randomly have been trying to think quite few on how the outreach can be also done. For example, when you're connecting, something short and sharp when you're connecting over the LinkedIn, why you're connecting. Hey, there was a great presentation, thank you for that. Or like, hey, I actually have the question, would you mind to discuss more about it? Following up on the chat, or hey, I actually saw you have been on this event, but I haven't had a chance to meet you. Would you mind that we continue now after, outside of the event? So building the bridges.
We will share this in our channel, so probably not as a presentation, but as a text with a reference to Lumi. Maybe with the presentation, we will see how it would work better in LinkedIn and in Telegram. The question from the chat from Peter, if there are any local specific in communication with HR in Finland? I think that is quite a difficult question.
In Finnish.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I learned as well from my practice is that sometimes in the companies they have this phone number and the time, specific time when you can call and ask a question. I would recommend do it. Don't do it in the sense just to call for the person for calling, but if you have exact question, or like I have been using it, for example, how deep should be the Finnish knowledge in this certain position, or hey, you have this position open, I actually applied, or I'm planning to apply, but I want to understand deeper this part. I have this, but you're asking, like I have A, you're asking B. Would that be exactly what you mean? So that actually got me quite a few times in the process after the call as well. That's in a way that I would have this call and mention that, okay, my CV came through, or like, actually your CV didn't came through. That was with Huawei that I called them on that time, and they said like, no, we actually never seen your CV. It ended up in the spam folder. So I would say that in Finland, it is still quite used in few companies, like the banks, for example. If you have it, use it.
And I think that, in my opinion, that in Finland we have quite long time to proceed with replies, to get a reply. So 2 weeks, as Ludmila told, this is a special thing from Finland, which is, I think that it's something cultural. So people are not in hurry to, but they will reply if they see. If they not, it's still people, then you can follow up and ask one time.
Yeah.
There are more questions from Anne. Can you read it?
Yes.
Yeah. Or you would like me to read?
I have jumping between there. Okay, that's the final slide. Anyhow, can you read it? I'm now between two screens and without the glasses.
Yeah.
I'm old.
So I had an introductory interview at some company and I passed it. Then the recruiter sent me an email with information about the text, or about the next interview, and a link link of the person who will conduct the next interview. Should I send a contact request to this
Whether it will be polite.
person?
Yeah.
Will it be polite before the interview? Will it be polite? What was the recruiter's intention? Just to give me some information about the next interviewer? So what it was?
Yeah. So usually when I do that, I share the information to provide more information exactly to the candidates, so they know who they're going to meet. So when they're coming, they already prepared, and they also made a small research. Maybe they went through the LinkedIn. Again, just out of the conflict of interest, I wouldn't connect before the interview to avoid the biases and creating in a way the fair that hey, we're going to be meeting, let's connect. I would rather connect after interview. So you already have been invited for the interview. I would dive deeper into what person have been doing and bring it up on the conversation that, hey, I have noticed you have been doing that and this. Can you tell me more? Like turn the tables around to the interviewer. But I would connect with them after the interview for sure.
Yes. Elvira, would you like to ask a question? Because you raised a hand.
Yes, I would. Yeah, I were trying to text it, but it's a little bit long story. I try to do it shortly in words. Firstly, thank you very much for your advices. My question is, how many follow-ups to one person is okay, not to become too pushing? So the case is, I met a person at the conference. We had short discussion, and he advised me to text him in LinkedIn. I text him first time, he didn't answer. I text him, I make a first follow-up. He answered, sorry, I'm very busy, but I will be back in 1 week. And 2 weeks passed, and I don't feel, is it okay to tell him, remember him third time, or it is like polite manner to tell I will not answer you at all? So how do you think?
I would say the third time is quite okay. And also just like, hey, you mentioned that you were busy. Do you have any better time? Should I come back to you in 1-2 weeks? In a way, also opening a door for yourself when it would be better to connect, because maybe a person is busy. Maybe they went for a vacation. Maybe they want to say politely no, and then they will tell you that, okay, connect with me in 1 month. I would still do 3, maybe 4 follow-ups. It depends. If I really, really need to do something or like need the answer from the person, I will ignore them that they don't want to reply to me. In a sense, like, no, I wouldn't bother them every 2 weeks. But if the person still comes up in, let's say, 3 months, and then I would be like, oh, they didn't reply. I would be like, hey, I noticed that 3 months ago we actually dropped our conversation. Is it a good time now to pick it up?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Now I ask a question from the chat. Santosh put quite a long explanation, but in general, for junior specialists in IT, how it's better to contact, is better to make connections, how should get hired finally, because this is, I understand, Santosh, you so much. Yes.
Yeah, it's painful. I'm sorry to say I don't have the magic pill. Contacting, connecting, I think like networking, being there, that's already a big thing, especially for the entry-level positions, being in the environments like Junction, Slush, anywhere where you can be like part of the geeks and the groups and actually get to know people. That would be the place to get connections, and not rather just meeting someone in the LinkedIn, because they will not remember you. If I would be in the tech environment, I would be looking for the internships. I would be trying to build a portfolio, GitHub, anything that actually would have the more value and structure. Also, when you're connecting to someone, like then you have something to present.
Some advice from me, maybe you can find some mentor from companies that you would like to apply sometimes later, because for now they do not have a junior position, but you can try to connect with some guys and say, hey, I'm doing my pet projects, I'm planning to work at the company like yours. Probably you can make a review of my code or give me some ideas or something like that. So not pushing about give me the job, but pushing give me the knowledges, and then if they know how you work, probably they can recommend you some roles.
Absolutely. And that's also going through the communities and other organizations are a little bit easier, because then people will get committed, because if they get committed to mentoring, that's again, like you need to build a relationship with someone that they actually put their time aside of their work and hobbies and life and families to meet some stranger and start mentoring them. So like definitely building the connection, getting to know, asking some advice, connecting over the common topics and common struggles.
I've seen that Alexandra been raising the hand, but now she. Would you like to say something?
Yes, thank you very much. I have a question about hidden position. It's very popular, if I know, here in Finland. Ludmila, do you have any experience or advice if, for example, team lead knows someone in a head who might be a good fit? Could it be a case that position will never be open and it would be just some interview between people that already built some connection with team lead or with a company? What is your point of view on this situation?
I don't have the simple answer. I would say I'm lucky enough to work in the companies that have been more mature on that side, and there are processes, and it's just not going to happen that like someone being hired without being proper approved and opening it first internally then externally. So in all three companies, we always had the processes like that. Does it exist? Yes, in Finland, yes, in many other countries as well. Yes, I would say that it's just one of the things that, for example, also working on TA side, what I'm always trying to speak about is biases and educating people into cautious biases and aware of those. One of the examples I do have actually the role when I'm just like bothering, like, yes, I'm saying I'm lazy recruiter, but I do like a good discussion with my stakeholders. The stakeholder opening the role, telling I have a brilliant person taking in the process, the person is ready to go through the process. First of all, I'm kicking out the manager out of the process, not to create the biases, because the manager brought that person. He's not allowed to participate in the hiring until the latest stage when there is a final some home assignment presentation. And second, I'm making sure that hiring manager has at least 5 other candidates who will get advanced in the stage. So there would be the skill assessment rather that it's a great person. And now the manager crying there because he has a positive problem. He has too many good candidates.
Wow, that's a very surprising answer for me. Thank you for that.
Okay, I think that there is no more questions in the chat and no more raised hands. Thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you, Ludmila, for being with us, being kind and answering all our questions. This is super important to understand that we need to send follow-ups to be like connected, to be remembered by the person. And for me, the best insight from this was that this is a difference when you're calling person for the coffee, then you need to say him, hello, I would like to discuss my career, or just to like know you as a person. This is 2 different things. Thank you, Ludmila. That was super interesting and helpful.
Thank you all for the questions as well.
Thank you. Yeah, so now I'm finishing the recording and I will send it via our channel, so subscribe. See you. That was a Nerd Bay.